All right, welcome back for the episode of This Week in Charts via Conover Trades and Wall Street from Main Street. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on ConoverTrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Do have a flash sale going on for the next month on Conover Trades. If you follow me on Twitter, details are in my pinned post, Twitter at Aaron Basil, if you're interested in that. We've got some great deals going on and great trades going on this week. So anyways, let's get into it here. Obviously, spiders here having a pretty good rally again this week here. We are pulling back a little bit as we get into the Friday afternoon session. It is Options X for the month of May, and markets have really quieted down here in the last, really the last pretty much all day. But we did have a kind of a flat open Monday, rallied up into Tuesday, Wednesday. We had that big pop there, and then we've kind of just pulled back. We actually just snapped, if we look at the SPY specifically, we just snapped a 10-day winning streak. So 3, 6, 9, 10. And yesterday down just about 18 basis points. Today we're down about 10 or 12. It's not a big deal. We obviously had CPI, and the numbers came in pretty much in line with expectations. So a lot of it, not really so much the market getting excited about a cool down, but more so just that it wasn't super hot. And we saw some hedges kind of come off, which led to the rally here. So markets making new all-time highs, new all-time closing highs. And it looks like we'll do that on the weekly close as well, as you can see here by the weekly chart right now. So again, markets are in pretty good shape. Again, going into the weekend. Outside of that, it's been pretty quiet here. I do think we are getting ready for a little pullback. Last week, the bears did not defend 5,200, and I said that was kind of a key level going into this week. And the fact that it wasn't held by today's, close definitely indicates I think we'll have some more upside here over the summer. Doesn't mean that we can't pull back here. We are up, essentially 300 points here in the last 10, not counting today, but from here to here, it was 11 sessions. So a 300-point rally doesn't mean we can't cool off. In fact, I do think we will cool off here for the next week or so, but markets are acting well, and right now they're really goosing this tape a lot. Yellen, they're spending $1 trillion every quarter, or issuing a new trillion every quarter in debt. We have a Fed chair that's essentially, on Monday, he came out and he pretty much goosed the tape. I mean, he was very dovish. And this is the dominant story this week. Obviously, I'm sure everybody knows, but GameStop is just pumping Monday, right? And we have a Fed chair that says he doesn't see inflation, he doesn't see rate cuts, he doesn't see any of this. And so we have a very accommodative market here. They keep trying to say financial conditions are tighter than where are the financial conditions tight, right? And then GameStop is kind of a microcosm of that. Here, we can get rid of this fib here for the moment. But again, another kind of little squeeze here. This dominated the news cycle. I went on many rants over this over the course of the week. By the way, great trades on AMC in the trading room this week on both sides of the tape here. So again, not to plug too much, but that flash sale is a great deal here. So check that out. But in either case here, this was not anything like 2021. There was not enough short interest or anything like that. And you could make a case too. I mean, I know there's been some speculation that this was a little bit of, dare I say, collusion going on. Roaring Kitty just happens to come back with one tweet on a Sunday night. Oh, and look who owns GameStop, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Look who else is tucked in there, Citadel. So, and they own calls too. Unusual Whales reported a lot on this too. There was a lot of call buying ahead of the time. You can actually see GameStop start to uptick here with volume a week beforehand, and that continued. Then all of a sudden, Sunday night, we just get this huge pump. But I was on the train here. Like, I mean, I'm not in supporting of institutions doing this, but also the pumping that was going on from everyone else. I don't approve of that either. I mean, if you're retail and you're telling people to get in here, you're no better than anyone else that's doing a pump and dump. You're telling people to FOMO in at 60 and look what happened. So all I heard about all week is, the short sellers lost all this money and we're sticking it to the suits. Really? Because the suits look pretty good right now. on the short side and on the long side, because you just fed them tons of money. They were in this beforehand, before you were, and they obviously got out when most of retail was buying up here. So I just don't. I think it's disingenuous of people to act like you're sticking it to the suits or anything like that when you are actively pumping their portfolio. They clearly owned this beforehand. It's very the whole thing is very suspect. But in any case, that dominated the headlines here. You saw AMC also coming in again. This is great in the trading room this week here, but that's coming back into the 786, as you can see. Also had some other meme names running. Tupperware, that one's still holding up okay. We even had some marijuana stocks, Tilray, which I've been on the marijuana stock train here for a while, and I think they will be very nice assets to own into the election if you're smart about it. But Tilray was one. Sundial also got a bid this week. They all came back in off the highs. The one that has still been holding up is Faraday, although it is pulling back now. So this got all the way up to almost $4. Take a look at this, and big dump there, FFIE. So that one's finally coming back to earth. But yeah, once this is over with tomorrow, once the GEX unwinds and these options unwind, there's nothing stopping GameStop from going back to 10. Nothing stopping AMC from going back to $2 to $3. So, but that dominated the headlines this week, and just a lot to go over there. But right now, markets here holding up, and that's really the bottom line. Again, I do think we'll get some type of a pullback consolidation, but I think that will lead to likely another buying opportunity here. So QQQ here, again, just kind of breaking the all-time high here, now backing off a little bit today. Again, I don't want to make too much out of it. We do have NVIDIA earnings next week. And speaking of NVIDIA, I know I think I've talked about this on here before, but Druck did sell the majority of his NVIDIA position. Actually, I have the numbers. It was 71%. So he sold 71% of his NVIDIA position, and he also bought a ton of IWM. So he's kind of rotating into small caps. I've echoed these sentiments before. I don't think chips are going to lead the next rally. I think it's going to have to come from some other sector. I mean, especially NVIDIA, what's going to come down with their margins is with their earnings is how their margins are. Are they compressing fast? They are going to compress. You've already got SMCI, you've got Broadcom, you've got ARM. These guys are all building AI chips, and they're coming for NVIDIA's business. They're not just going to sit there and let NVIDIA have 90% margins forever. So at some point, this is going to stall out. Doesn't mean maybe go up to 1,000, but at some point these margins are going to compress, and that's essentially what Druck has said. The stock has, quote, gotten ahead of itself, and obviously we see that with the parabolic nature here, especially still on the monthly. I mean, you have a nice daily pattern here, but the monthly is still way parabolic. So I don't know how much higher, and it's a $2.3 trillion company too, so it's harder for this to move, cover big distances like it used to. So, but that will affect tech, obviously. I think we had AMAT yesterday. That was kind of a nothing burger on earnings, but yeah, NVIDIA is obviously the big one for tech. And triple Q's right now, point of control is at 450. There's more support around 440. So we'll just keep it simple there. IWM, again, still holding up. Has a green week here. And again, this is what Druck bought. He bought calls in this. So I don't know, do we rotate to small caps finally? If that happens, it's going to take bonds to get a bid here. They did get a little bit of a bid this week. I'll talk about those in a second. But we're going to need bonds to hold up because IWM is so rate sensitive. And, bonds getting a little bit of yields getting a little bit of a bid this week. That's why we're seeing start to move down as bonds uptick the last 2 days. But again, 210, 212, still resistance on the IWM. Dow, everybody's talking about the 40K handle. So we did pierce that yesterday. We're not above it today. There's still like an hour left. They could just juice it up to get it to close above 40K to get everybody feeling good into the weekend. I would not rule that out whatsoever. But either way, we're right at that area there, and that's going to be something they're going to want to get above, I'm sure, at some point here. Semis, we kind of talked about with NVIDIA. That did back off a little bit here. A retrace could take you down to about 220. You still have that all-important reversal bar high, though, on NVIDIA and SMH. So that's going to be the big level there. Cloud software did firm up nicely this week. So good bull pattern here. And it got a bid. It's kind of just flirting with this trend line here. You can say we closed above it. I mean, like, this trend line's a little subjective. We'll just say it closed on the trend line. So next week we'll see. Maybe it pulls back one more high or low. Probably can push that up. But IGV, in much better shape. The Dow transports went directly to the 618. I still don't like the Dow transports. They're just not strong at all. So they've got a lot of firming up to do if this is going to, be able to continue higher at some point here. So definitely a laggard sector. So rates here. So again, we had a big dump earlier in the week off of the data, the inflation data. But the 2-year, looking at this, this is holding up, right? So we're holding support. And again, everybody's talking about this unwind here, but look at the yield curves. They're not really unwinding, right? So everybody's talking about rate cuts this, rate cuts that, but the yield curves really aren't unwinding yet to suggest that. Additionally, again, that doesn't mean the narrative can't work for stocks. I'm just pointing that out. But additionally, looking at the weekly, you're still, above that big support level. So as long as we're above that on a weekly close, the 2-year is fine. Looking at the daily, again, a little rough here, but it's holding up. 5s, same thing, green bar low right there. And then the 10s and 30s are a little bit weaker, but I do think we bounce, right? We've talked about these trend lines here. I predicted a bounce at them, and we're getting one right now the last 2 days. So again, like to go in with my theory here, the stock market may pull back next couple of weeks. If yields bounce, it's probably going to be conducive to a stock market pullback. Ultimately, I do think it will be a buying opportunity for stocks, but in the short term, yields getting a bit. I don't think yields are going to go a ton lower either, just to throw that out there. I'm going to make that clear. XHB backing off of 110. Talked about that level last week, and it's back inside of this channel. So XHB, a little bit of a laggard, but big picture, it's still holding up here. This can just chop around and build another base. But XHB pulling back in. VNQ also had a really good bid on Wednesday with the bond bid, but has pulled back here. I think this needs to retest 83, 83.20, maybe even 82. If it gets up into this trend line, I don't think it gets through it right now. But decent recovery. XLF, new all-time high, new all-time closing high as well. So banks still very strong. This is the point that I've made for several weeks now, that banks are holding up, and that's a point for bulls. KBE also essentially on breakout here on the weekly. So bull pattern, tight, and it's just pushing up. Next stop is, if it can continue, next stop is 50 and then 52. KRE, same kind of deal, although it's a little bit weaker. You could even make a case like you got kind of a trend line right here. You're kind of into that. It's holding up, and it looks a lot better. Broker dealers, new all-time high, new all-time closing high. Only problem with this is it's overbought on the monthly. And oil this week, oil actually held up. So it tried to test the lows. Actually, it spiked the low on Wednesday off of CPI, and then it actually rebounded. So this is not ready to break down. You can see here very clearly too. It took about a month or so to get through this area, right? So we chopped around here, and then we broke out. So it's probably going to take at least that much time to get, if it's going to break down. Overall, I'm not really too bearish on oil anyway. I don't think that it's going to go that much lower. If it does, I mean, I'd say the low 70s is probably your next stop, and that's probably where it would bottom out for a while. In the short term, though, if it keeps rallying up, you go back up to 81, and then I think that's going to run into some short-term resistance here. With that said, XLE has had an impressive move, and it's trying to inch out of this little bear flag area. Bull flag. Sorry, bull flag on the daily and weekly. Again, I don't like how we close below the breakout bar, but it's not the end of the world, right? You still have an uptrend here on the weekly time frame and the daily, so it's not the end of the world, and you're just inching out of that pattern. I think this could also be a catch-up sector too. So again, maybe in addition to IWM, and there's a lot of energy stocks in IWM too. It could be something that's to look at over the summer. I would have loved it if it just got down to 87. I would have been all over that. I'm not saying it can't happen, but that would have been a really good level, I think, to own it at. But XLE holding up. We'll continue to watch the pattern there. XOP, same exact chart, right? Looks just about the same. And then my favorite, the OIH, inching up. So, again, what do we got? 3, 6, 9, 10 days of consolidation here. And we're about, a couple more days here that I think this could push through that. So OIH also holding up here and trying to curl back up. I think this goes a lot, and I mean a lot higher over time. It's not going to go there in a straight line, but OIH looking pretty good. CCJ, I told you guys last week this was getting ready to break out. It's almost there. It might be doing it next week. It might be doing it now. So this looks good. Look at the weekly of URNM. Very strong here. Beautiful inside bar pattern. Never closed below it. And that is pushing up. And the same thing for the NJ. This is hammering on the highs here. So uranium maybe having another leg here soon. So uranium acting well. Nat gas continuing to inch up here. Nat gas is way off the lows here. $1.60. Yeah, it's almost up. You know, it's closing in on 100% here. Not that, you know, I mean, another for nat gas, 320 to 264 is not, is not a big move. But yeah, it's up nicely. I'm use the M contract here because I don't like all those gaps. Yeah, 270 is your next level for nat gas. And then after that, you know, 290 and then $3. We will get a contract roll pretty soon, so that'll go to the N, and it's going to be another gap, I think. So yeah, so probably around $3 will be your next big stop there on the N contract. But nat gas again, I wouldn't short it here going into June. It's just not a. It trades up from May to June almost, you know, like clockwork. And a lot of shorts are in this, and that's why it squeezes the way it does. So good move there for Natty. Probably got the lows of the year in now. Dollar index backing off here, although it did bounce on Thursday, and you can see here the weekly time frame is still fine. It's a pullback here, but as long as you're inside of that green on a weekly close, the DXY is okay. All right, now it's everybody's favorite. So the PMs here continuing to inch up. Gold having a good day today, up 1.5. No new highs, but what I like is the GDX. GDX making new highs. Take a look at the trend line here. Nice breakout there. 52-week high as well. XJ, same thing. Very nice price action. Go AU. I own this one personally, and with members, and we're nicely in the money on this. We're kind of just a little double top. Some resistance we won't be coming into here, but again, what I like is you got the 52-week highs on the miners, right? That's what I'm trying to say, and that's good. And I've been telling you guys that's bullish. Likewise, SILJ had a higher high right here, right? We talked about that. SIL had a higher high, whereas silver did not. And now look at silver. It's closing down on 32. Guys, we're still going here. It's up 6%. So this is still going as I'm doing this video. Where, you know, 32. I told you guys it's going to 35, and that's, you know, I mean, it's not even that far away now. So, and it'll, you know, likely go a lot higher from there. But that's the first big stop. So silver really pushing up here. Jerome Powell doesn't see the inflation, though. Just want to make sure everybody knows. And he doesn't see the inflation in platinum either. I've been telling you guys for a long time, platinum is good. And here you go. So it's another almost 3% today. Big outside move on the weekly. I own it via, and you guys know I like palladium too. Palladium's still struggling. This is going to be a catch-up trade, though. Get it while it's cheap. And you look at SPRA. This is how I own it. And you've got a big inverse head and shoulder there on the weekly. And that's triggering right now. So, but again, just I want to make sure you guys know that Jerome Powell doesn't see the stag or the inflation. He doesn't see meme stocks running, and he doesn't see CPI sticky with retail sales falling. None of that happened this week. That's all fake. That's all lies. None of that stuff happened. This chart didn't happen this week. Copper's not rallying right now. So, but either way, short term though, I think maybe copper. I don't know. It's getting a little extended here. Look at that big sell on Wednesday. It is retracing quite a bit though. It's a powerhouse trade. Look at the volume here too. It's definitely squeezing up. It definitely looks maybe some buyer exhaustion here in the near term, but yeah, what a move here. Again, no inflation, none whatsoever. So Bitcoin here. Again, so there's a mini trend line here. You got a little inverse head and shoulder there that triggered, and that's still in play. Then we have this bigger macro trend line, right, where we kind of we got that right there. They're about the same, but again, Bitcoin holding up. I've been telling you guys for a long time, Bitcoin is just doing big picture consolidation, and that weekly 20 MA held, and you're getting a bounce. That's how it's supposed to work. So I don't see anything bearish for Bitcoin either at the current time. If it rolls over, yeah, then we could head back to 52. But right now it looks fine. So again, Bitcoin holding up. All right, so again, spiders here. Again, just hanging in there. Again, I think we're a little overbought. Short term, we probably look for some backing and filling, but I think markets are, they're really goosing this tape right now. It is an election year, and that definitely factors in too. But again, we'll see what we get going into next week, but I don't really see anything all that terrible here for stocks outside of just maybe some short-term overbought factors. I do think we will see some rotation go on over the summer, and some other sectors start to pick things up, maybe energy, maybe even biotech, and small caps, chips, maybe a little bit long in the tooth here, but that said, I don't see anything terrible for stocks, like I said. So anyways, guys, get it wrapped up here. You guys take care. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on CommodityTrades.com. I'll see you guys all next week.